So go ahead, ask the folks in the back how the volume is.
All right, we'll give it a whirl.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Excellent.
Great. Okay, they heard.
That was a sound check. Okay.
I was like, should I go testing?
No, you're doing great. Perfect. We're ready to get started. I'll let you do that. I'll let you keep doing that while I talk. Is that all right? Okay. Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming out to the Solarize Oregon program here at the Lake Oswego Public Library. My name is April Younglove, and I'm an Adult Services Programming Librarian here. Feel free, if you have any library questions, to direct those questions to me. For all other questions, you're going to want to direct them to tonight's presenters. So they will be, first we will hear from Amanda Watson, the Sustainability Program Manager for the City of Lake Oswego. Then Stephanie Wagner, Secretary of the Lake Oswego Sustainability Network. And then Nicole Mantic, Program Director for Solar Oregon, who will be giving the bulk of tonight's presentation. So, without too much further ado, I don't want to give away too much of what they're going to talk about. Come on up, Amanda. Oh, I'm wrong. Goes to Nicole and then Amanda. Oh, also, quickly, I forgot some housekeeping items. If you have any trouble hearing, we do have assistive listening devices. They work with T-coil, or you can get headphones to make them work better. And then also, they have a lot of pamphlets back there on a table. And we would love it if next to those pamphlets you fill out a survey before you leave to tell us how you like this program, what could be improved, and if you'd like more programs like this. And we have cookies. So if you feel your blood sugar dipping, go get a cookie, fill out a survey, come sit back down. All right. Thank you so much for coming again. And here's Nicole.
Thank you, April. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Matisik, and I'm a program manager with Solar Oregon, and we are a local nonprofit based in Portland, but we do serve the whole state, and we do workshops like this. So thank you all for coming tonight. We're going to leave space at the end for questions, so I hope you came with some good questions prepared. And then before we jump into this, I'd love to just learn a little bit more about you all and what inspired you to come here today. So I'm just curious, does anyone here have solar already? I know Matt does, but yes. Great. And does anyone have solar paired with battery storage? Okay, great. We're going to cover a little bit about the basics of battery storage and solar here today, as well as sharing about this Solarize campaign. And then just curious, does anyone here have community solar? I think someone shared they do. Great. Okay. Great. Well, thank you all for sharing your Tuesday night with us. We're going to jump right into it. So this Solarize campaign has been brought together by some great partners. As April mentioned, we have Amanda here from the City of Lake Oswego. We also have Stephanie here from Lake Oswego Sustainability Network. I am here from Solar Oregon, and also Energy Trust has helped us with this campaign and can connect folks to trade ally contractors, which we'll get into a little bit further in the presentation. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Amanda to share more about City of Lake Oswego.
Thank you, Nicole, and hi, everyone. My name is Amanda. I'm the City Sustainability Program Manager, and we're super excited to be part of this. Oh, yes, thank you. I don't speak with a mic very often. Thanks for the reminder. So we're really excited to be a part of this Solarize campaign with our partners, Lake Oswego Sustainability Network, Energy Trust, and Solar Oregon, to bring you resources and information related to solar for your home. So the City of Lake Oswego is committed to enhancing the sustainability of our city operations, right, as an organization, but also of the community as a whole. Right, so our goal is to meet the needs of our community today while being able to continue to meet those needs of future generations. And some of you may know that the City Council adopted a climate action plan, our sustainability and climate action plan in 2020. And since then, we have been focused on implementing that plan, which provides a number of different strategies and actions for how we can reduce our impact on climate change and strengthen the community's resilience to climate impacts. And the plan includes a number of emissions reduction goals. One of those is related to buildings, saying that by 2045, the goal is that all buildings in Lake Oswego have net zero energy emissions. And so this Solarize campaign connects to a lot of those goals in our climate action plan. It's going to help more Lake Oswego households use more renewable energy. And also, Nicole mentioned solar and storage. When solar is paired with battery storage, that can help increase our community's resilience to climate impacts like extreme weather, during the winter storms, right, where we often will see power outages. Battery storage plus solar can provide power for homes even when there's impacts to the grid. So that's a little bit of a preview. Really excited to have Nicole here to kind of deep dive into all of this. And thank you all for being here to learn about this. And I'm very excited to hear your questions at the end of the presentation as well. I will now turn it over to Stephanie Wagner with the Lake Oswego Sustainability Network.
Yep, that's right, Matt. Okay. Okay, so I just want to tell you, we're a community group that works with a number of partners in the community to actually promote sustainable practices. We're a volunteer organization that actually formed in 2013. And we do events and things and help to sponsor and help this happen so that we can get people thinking about what we need to do to actually combat climate change. So climate is a big concern in our community. And in order, if we're going to get away from using fossil fuels, we're going to have to electrify. So we've been working on programs to have different ways that people can actually think about how they're going to electrify instead of using fossil fuels. And that includes electric landscaping, get away from two-stroke engines and all the problems that those cause. And then we've been really pushing and been very successful with having EV and solar fairs to get people exposed and thinking about how are we going to electric heating, how are we going to electric cars. So we have the highest rate of electric car registration in the state in Lake Oswego. So we want to take a little bit of credit for that. So thank you. We also work on advocacy. We actually really worked with the city to actually come up with their climate action plan. And I think the steps the city have taken would not have been as strong without a community group like LOSN actually helping to make that happen. My personal passion, I also started the local watershed council. So we work on natural resources and make sure that we've got regenerative landscape practices and things that are going to continue to keep us a healthy, resilient community. And then we also have supported the schools. The schools have a sustainability pillar in their strategic action plan because of LOSN, working with students and teachers to actually come in and have that happen. And then we also support materials management practices. So we have a repair fair, and we'll have one coming up in October. So we invite you to sign up for our newsletter or think about volunteering and becoming a part of what we're doing, because we really feel we make a difference in our community. And now I'm going to hand it over to Nicole to make even more of a difference.
Thank you, Stephanie. Again, thank you to all our partners for really getting the community together to get this campaign going before the end of the year. And we're excited to share more about it with you today. Just a little bit about Solar Oregon. Has anyone heard of Solar Oregon before? Okay, great. So we're a nonprofit that focuses on solar education throughout the state. We do that through workshops like this one, online webinars, and then Solarize campaigns, as well as we have an annual Go Zero tour, which is coming up this October 4th. And we also have a video from one of those tours to share today as well. I wanted to share more about Energy Trust of Oregon. Have folks here heard about Energy Trust of Oregon before? Great. So they're an independent nonprofit that has been around since 2002, and they serve customers of the investor-owned utilities in our state to help them become more energy efficient and also access renewable energy. So thank you, Energy Trust. They also help bring together a sustainable workforce and trade allied contractors for solar. So we're going to share more about those trade allied contractors who are part of this campaign a little bit later in the presentation. Today we're going to talk the basics of solar. And I'm going to keep it pretty high level, so if you do have questions, you want to go into more detail, we can get to those in the Q&A at the end. We'll also talk about what a Solarize campaign is and how you can get involved. And then we're going to share more information about the current incentives and tax credits. As we know, there has been legislation recently that has changed some of those tax credits, especially for EVs as well as solar. So just want to share updates there with you all. All right. And then there are snacks in the back provided by the library. So thank you, April, for those. So if you do need snacks throughout this presentation, feel free to get up. This is casual. We're just hanging out here to talk solar together. And yeah, be thinking of your questions, and we'll work through those once we get through the presentation. The library does close at 7, so we're going to try to speed through this presentation to leave the bulk of time to go over questions with you all. All right, so has anyone heard of a Solarize campaign before? Okay, a few folks. So a Solarize campaign is usually a limited time, regionally focused campaign where neighbors can go solar together. And so there is a Solarize Lake Oswego campaign happening right now that we're here to talk about. You can save money by getting solar and access clean energy. Usually during a Solarize campaign, there are educational opportunities like this. We also have a recording on the Solarize Lake Oswego website. So if you want to recap anything, this is also being recorded. So you can check that out if you were like, hey, I really want to hear that again because I was zoning out and eating cookies. That's fine. Great. So this campaign for Lake Oswego started July 1st, so it's already happening now, and it runs through August 31st. And so basically for the campaign, we've also brought together through Energy Trust trade ally contractors who can help get you a free customized bid for solar or storage for your home. And so to maximize those savings, really reaching out and signing up for the campaign is going to connect you with those trade ally contractors so that you can work towards seeing if solar is right for your home. And you would need to ensure that your installation is completed by December 31st. So that is just an important date to keep in mind. So this campaign ends on the August 31st, and you want to make sure that your installation is complete by December 31st. So here, I'll show this again throughout the campaign, but this goes directly to the Solarize Lake Oswego campaign website, where you can be connected with those trade ally contractors to learn about if your home is right for solar. They'll go through a quote with you and help you really assess that. And so we are already almost in September, so if you are interested, you want to be sure to get that process moving quickly. All right, so basics of solar. Has anyone heard of a grid tied system before? Okay, of course Matt knows. So this is a diagram of a typical grid tied system, and what grid tied means is that you are still connected to your local utility. If you look here, you can see the photovoltaic panels, or PV. Those are your solar panels. And here in the Willamette Valley, they're oftentimes going to be roof mounted on your roof if you have some more space. Sometimes they can be ground mounted, but that panel will go ahead and convert sunlight into electricity. And then you will need a special component called an inverter or microinverter, and that will take that electricity that is DC, convert it to AC, which is what your home uses. And it'll flow to your electrical panel, where then it can go to your outlets and appliances. When you do get a grid-tied system, you also get a special utility meter called a bidirectional meter, and that's going to measure the flow of electricity that you send out to the grid, and then also in times when your solar might be producing less than you're consuming, it'll also measure what you pull from the grid as well. So like I mentioned, you can have roof-mounted or ground-mounted solar. It's going to depend on where you have sunlight and space, and also depending on if your roof is right for solar, which we'll touch on that a little further in the presentation, but those are some options. Here in our state, there is a special agreement called net metering. Has anyone heard of net metering before? Okay, I see a lot of head nodding, great. So net metering is an agreement where you actually get credits for the electricity that you export out to the grid. And so what that looks like, if you're a PGE customer, you would get that special bidirectional meter. It would take that meter reading of what you're sending out if you're producing more electricity with your solar, as well as any electricity that you're pulling from the grid. And you would have those meter readings on your bill. And then the difference, so like if you are sending more out to the grid, you are actually exporting. So you're a net exporter, and you would see those credits in your year-to-day bank on your bill. And then if you need to pull from the grid, you would also see that as well. So we're just going to illustrate that with some graphs here. So we have a typical summer month and a typical winter month. So on the left, you can see you're going to have more access to the sun in the summer, so you might be producing more than you're consuming, and that little green arrow is going to illustrate that net metering credit that you earn through your net metering agreement. And then in the winter time, when we have less sun here, more rain, you might need to draw more from the grid, so you would have electricity that you're pulling from the grid here. It's important to know that our net metering year starts in April and runs and through March. So depending on your bill period, and then you're able to roll over those credits in your year-to-date bank month to month, but you cannot roll them over year to year. So at the end of the net metering year in March, anything that you haven't used for those net metering credits get donated back to the grid to low-income customers. All right. So how do you size your system? It is based on consumption. So if you are using more electricity at your home, you would need more solar to help meet those consumption needs. So knowing how much energy you use is really helpful. And once you connect with a Trade Ally contractor, they can help you go through some of your old energy bills, and also see how they would size and design your system. Also, how much space you have can impact what your solar system size is. If you have a lot of shade and not a lot of space on your roof, you couldn't put a big system there because you need to have access to the sun. The average size solar system in our state is about 8 kilowatts. And so your system is measured in kilowatts or kW. Yes. Okay, so this is kilowatt hours would be like your billable like consumption, what you see on your bill when you go to see your PGE bill, you'll have like kilowatt hours, right? An average home here in Oregon could be somewhere around like 30 kilowatt hours a day, depending, give or take. And so most folks would need 8 to 9 kilowatts, depending on their needs. But solar is highly customizable, so that is going to really depend on your home, where it's located, the solar access that you get, and how they're able to install those panels and design them to create that electricity with your solar system. And so getting right into specs and aspects of your home that can help you know if it's going to be easier or more difficult to go solar. So first, you need access to the sun. And then here in Oregon, we have the sun in the sky most of the time. In the south, we do get some good solar access on the east and the west, depending on, your trees and what else you have on your property. But you normally will not see solar installed on a north-facing roof. Here in Lake Oswego, there are tons of beautiful trees. So you might have a lot of shading. Even if you do have shading, it doesn't hurt to check with a contractor because they can actually access your solar resource by looking at satellite imaging software, or they can use special equipment to see how much solar resource you have. So if you're like, hey, I get some shade, but I'm unsure, you can still connect and reach out for a free bid from a Trade Ally contractor as part of this campaign so that you can see, hey, do I get enough access? Maybe I get more than I thought I did. So that can be really helpful. If you do have trees, don't despair. They have a lot of other great things that can help your home, like keeping it cool and providing a beautiful space where your home is. So you can also think about community solar. And I think we had one community member here who has community solar. So that is an option too. If you still want to be involved in renewable energy, but you are shaded out or your roof is not right for solar, you can look into community solar. I do have flyers about that in the back. And so if you want to learn more about that, feel free to connect with that. There's also a link on the Solarize Lake Oswego website that can link you to folks for community solar. All right, other aspects of your home that can impact your ability to go solar are going to be your roof condition. So you need at least 10 plus years of roof life in order to install solar. Does anyone know how long solar panels last? So we have a guess here, 10 years, 20 years, 25? Yeah, so panels last about 20 to 25 years, and sometimes they're still producing. They just lose some of their efficiency. So if your panels last that long and you don't have enough roof life, you'd have to uninstall that solar to then put your new roof on and then reinstall it. So planning ahead is really helpful. Yes? Yeah. So solar works with many different types of roof types. Just the way that the panels are racked on or attached or mounted is going to be different. So if you think that like metal roof works better for your home, you don't have to replace it often. Oftentimes solar is installed on all different types of roofs. So you could go with metal. Yeah. Roof complexity can also impact your ability to go solar. So if you have a very steep roof with a lot of dormers or other architectural features that could interrupt where the panels are set, that can impact what your design would be and how many panels you can put on your roof. Also, sometimes there are code requirements that can impact how those panels lay on your roof. There needs to be enough room for roof setbacks. So these are some things that should be considered when you're looking at solar, but a contractor can help you look through these and see, looking at your home, if they can help you install solar and also help kind of answer those really site-specific questions that we all have when we're thinking about going solar, because they could use that satellite software and also come out and see your home. All right. Has anyone heard of the term energy resilience before? Okay, yes. Of course, LOSN, yeah. So energy resilience is your ability to access electricity even during an outage. So solar paired with storage can help you gain that energy resilience. Solar on its own does not keep your lights on when the power goes out. You would need that battery to be able to tap into, and by having solar paired with storage, you're able to recharge your battery with your solar, and then you're also able to store the electricity that you produce with your solar. So they are complementary technologies, and if you already have solar now and are like, hey, do I really need to do this Solarize campaign? You can look into battery storage and get a quote or a free bid for that and see if that works with your system. So that is an option for folks who already have solar. All right, so if you are thinking about installing a battery with your solar, it's important to think about what type of outage you're looking to withstand. Probably folks can guess what this little squirrel's on here for, right? They like to get into wires and things, and sometimes a short outage could be caused by wildlife or storms. And then here in the Pacific Northwest, we also have public safety power shutoffs during fire season, so that could be a little bit more of a prolonged outage. And then also the chance of earthquake here as well, which could be a longer outage. So if you're thinking to add battery storage from an energy resilience perspective, it's important to properly set your expectations on what a battery can do and what it cannot. I saw a question over here about battery storage. Yeah. Yes. So there's some new technology to do like direct to vehicle, direct to home charging with your EV or electric vehicle and be able to access that battery. So that is newer. So not a lot of cars have that capability yet, but we could see that developing, and that's something if you're interested in, you can check that out for sure. So basically the direct to vehicle and direct to grid, like you're plugging in your EV to your home and you're tapping into that battery. Like you're charging that battery with your solar, and then you could pull from that battery. So it's acting as your solar plus storage, but in a different capacity. Hopefully that helps answer that. But we can definitely get into more questions if we need to clarify. All right, so picking a battery, there's a lot of makes and modules out there right now. And so some installers may specialize in a particular brand. It's important to know that you cannot mix and match different brands for your battery. If you are getting one or two batteries, you'd want to get it within the same brand. And brands have different modules within that. And that's because batteries could have different chemistries. And so you want to make sure that you're staying with that so that your system works. If you are going to be powering motors or other things that need instantaneous energy, that's something you'd want to tell your contractor about so they can consider that in the design. And also batteries require space. Due to code, they can't just be shoved into a cabinet. Oftentimes they'll be put in a garage or installed on the side of a house. So that's something that may factor into your consideration. And then there are two main types of backups that we tend to see. Has anyone heard of a partial backup before? Okay, I see some head nodding. So a partial home backup is where you would select certain circuits in your home and choose to connect those to a essential loads panel or a second electrical panel where you could then connect those circuits to your battery. So you're just backing up those selected circuits. A whole home backup would require a lot of batteries, and you would be backing up your entire home. And so it's a lot more practical for folks who want to pair battery with storage to do partial backup and just focus on some of those priority circuits. If you are getting solar, your solar contractor will also look at your electrical panel and make sure that's up to date and can be used to install your solar, because that is part of that lovely diagram that we saw earlier. So, and then there are some newer technologies to do a smart panel, which is here. So if you did that partial home backup, when you're deciding what circuits are backed up by the battery, oftentimes you do essential loads panels, but These smart options, such as a span panel, would just replace your existing electrical panel, and then it gives you some load flexibility if you are deciding to add battery storage. When you are wanting to add solar plus storage to your home, it's important to consider what needs power and for how long. Oftentimes people will decide to back up a main outlet, their refrigerator, and then common area lights so that they can keep part of their home going during an outage. All right, so we're going to jump right into incentives. All right, so the federal solar investment tax credit is ending at the end of this year. So in order to claim this, you would need to have your system complete. And what the tax credit is a dollar for dollar tax credit that would less the taxes you owe by 30%. And it is valid for solar and storage, so you can use it for either or both. And for this, it's important to remember you do need to owe taxes in order to get the credit, so you have to have tax liability. And I'm not a tax professional, so we're just sharing this information because it is good for you to know, especially with the tax credit ending December 31st of this year. If you are working with a tax professional, make sure they're trusted. They can help you file the proper IRS forms. It's fairly simple, but if you do have questions, it can be helpful to reach out to a tax professional. And it does apply to solar plus storage. There are common misconceptions out there about the tax credit, and one of them is that re-roofing costs are covered. And that is false. So just making sure that you are preparing and set the proper expectations if you're wanting to access this tax credit. Like as I mentioned, you would need to have your system complete by the end of this year. Energy Trust also offers a standard incentive for solar as well as storage. So both for Portland General Electric and Pacific Power, that is $800 for solar and $350 per kilowatt hour, up to a max of $4,200. And so here in Oregon, the average battery size, because I didn't share that yet, is usually 1 or 2 batteries. And if it is 1 battery, it's oftentimes around 10 to 13.5 kilowatt hours. So you would just take that capacity, times it by 350, and then you could figure that out. But when you work with a trade ally contractor, they can help you go through that because they apply for these cash incentives upon your behalf. And that would actually impact your out-of-pocket cost. Whereas you get the tax credit when you file your taxes, these incentives, you would actually work with a trade ally contractor. They're the only contractors who can access these, and they would, again, apply for those upon your behalf, and so that would impact that out-of-pocket cost. Incentives do vary based on availability, funding, and your utility, so that is something to keep in mind. There is also an income qualified incentive through Energy Trust of Oregon, and that you can scan this QR code to see if you qualify. There's also the table here. So for example, if you have a household of 4 people, if your annual income maximum is under $128,564, you would qualify. So if you're unsure, you can ask your contractor, but this is also another incentive that can help you with your out-of-pocket cost for solar. All right, so we went through that pretty fast, but just to recap, before we look at a sample budget, costs can vary for solar. One, because it's highly customizable. It's going to really depend on your site, your home, what your needs are, what you're wanting to get out of your system. The system size and the design will impact the cost if you need to re-roof or reinforce your roof if you don't have the proper structural support. Or if you need electrical panel upgrades or electrical upgrades, that can impact your cost. If you are adding battery storage to an existing system, that can also have some costs related to updating your inverter or redesigning your system to incorporate that battery. And then your access to incentives will impact your out-of-pocket cost. Also, to be a grid-tied system, you would interconnect to that grid and be connected to the utility. So you would do a interconnection application, and contractors are used to working through these. To make that process smoother, it's really helpful to make sure that you're signing anything through the process, making sure that you are asking questions to keep things moving as we get towards the end of the year here. So here is a sample budget. Here we're just assuming an 8 kilowatt system for solar in the middle column. And so this is just an estimate. This can vary for a lot of reasons, as we discussed, but if you're just getting solar, you could be somewhere around $32,000 for an 8 kilowatt system. And then if you're working with a trade ally contractor, you can access that $800 incentive, which impacts that out of pocket. And then when you go to file your taxes, as long as you get your system complete before December 31st, you can apply for the federal investment tax credit, which is that 30% there. And then at the very last column, we did solar plus storage as an example, and this is assuming still the 8 kilowatt system, but adding one 13.5 kilowatt hour battery. And so you can get some more incentives for that because you could also, you get the 800 for solar and then the 350 per kilowatt hour for the battery storage. But the maximum right now impacts that. So if you have a smaller module, maybe you don't hit the maximum incentive. So that's something that, again, a trade ally contractor can help you with. And then there's also the income qualified incentive. So that can impact your out of pocket even more if you do qualify for those. Some folks will finance their system. They can sometimes finance through their local bank or credit union, but sometimes banks don't offer loans tailored to solar. So, and solar installers may have a financing option that they can help walk you through, or have a third-party broker that offers financing. As with any financial decision, it's really important to read the small print. Make sure that you are understanding how that financing is put together, what your monthly payment will be, as well as any fees, and if there's any rules about payback period, things like that. So if you are choosing to finance, just making sure that you're really reviewing what the financing terms are. All right, and then we have Matt Briggs here. We're going to try to play his video because he has installed solar and was on our Go Zero tour last year and has been on many home tours. So I'm going to go ahead and try to play that. So cross your fingers that the video will work. All right, looks like.
So my name's Matt Briggs. I have a near net zero home. I started building it in 2005, 2006, sort of making guesses of how to do it. And then I got actually really good feedback from Kathy Bash, who's an architect who started Solar Oregon. And we designed a really good energy sipping house. I've always been an environmental guy. My oldest brother was in the communes, and they got the very first NASA throwaway solar panels that were like 20 watts. And that was like in the early 70s. But I've always wanted to work on environmental stuff, but the main key for me was joining pioneers in the 1990s and early aught, and hearing people like David Suzuki and Paul Hawken and Amory Lovins and Lester Brown, people who really knew the secrets of how to do this right and be net zero. So some of the key features that make this home net zero are 2 solar systems. I did also a solar hot water heater system, and we doubled the walls and quadrupled the insulation and sealed it up with foam, and then lowered all the load by unplugging standby electricity going to LED lights. So we also put in a water catchment system off 1,000 square feet of the roof and put in a 3,000 gallon tank. So I think it's really important that the reason we're doing this is not just to save money, it's to turn down the temperature of the planet in time so we don't overshoot and burn up. So that's the bigger motivation. Let's do it.
So maybe I can have you give a wave, and if folks have questions, they can chat with you after the presentation. Sorry, this keeps me wanting to just play the video again. It was so awesome. All right, so now that I sped through all that, we're just going to remind folks how you can sign up to be part of this Solarize Lake Oswego campaign, and before it ends this month. So to sign up, you would go to the Solarize Lake Oswego website, which I'll put that link up again, and if anyone needs help finding it, I'm happy to help. And you would put in your information there to be connected to a trade ally solar contractor, and then you get a free custom bid for your home, whether you're looking at solar storage or solar plus storage, and then the contractor will send you that design, and if it is interesting to you and you're ready to make the commitment, then you would review that and sign it and move forward with your installation process. But really for the campaign, it's about connecting folks in the community to these pre-vetted, pre-qualified contractors that are oftentimes more local, so that you can see what it would be like for your home to have solar, if you can, if it's feasible for solar, how much solar access you get, and what it would look like to have a system that incorporated battery if you're interested. So if you are interested, just make sure to do that before the end of the campaign. Again, the trade ally contractors are approved to offer those energy trust incentives. They're familiar with the design and installation requirements, and can help answer those questions as you look for solar for your home. We have some really great local installers here. You don't have to memorize this list of installers. If you just go to the Solarize Lake Oswego website, you'll be connected with one of them. And yeah, if you like the design and that works for you and your solar goals, once you sign a contract with an installer, then the installation process would begin. They would help you through paperwork to get the energy trust incentives. Permitting can take some time. So as we are almost in September, that's really important to keep in mind, is to get solar permitting. That can take some time, just as any type of contractor work for your home. So really, if you're interested in moving now, is going to help make sure that your installation is done before the end of the year. Installation doesn't take that long. If you have a more complex system, it could be a few days. And then a contractor will help you through inspections and interconnections. And once you're interconnected, you'll be producing renewable energy right at your home. So now it's the fun part. I'll leave this up and we're going to open up to questions. Yes.
I see that you just talk like this. Okay. I see that you know what that the average home puts in a 8 kilowatt system, and that on average for that it's cost $32,000. It also notes on the paperwork that you could save generally $1,400 or more annually. So my question is I would think you had also calculated what the average homeowner would do for a payback period. Like, because it seems to me if I divide those out, it actually, you'd be having green energy, but your system actually wouldn't pay for itself before it stopped working?
I was like, I can try to shout the answer. Thank you. Great question. So did everyone hear that okay? I'll just jump right into the answer. So in that budget, we don't show like the estimated savings per month. That's just like looking at upfront costs and the tax credit. And then payback period is going to depend on how much energy you use. How big is your energy bill? If you have a large energy bill, that can impact what your payback period looks like. Yeah. Yeah. And Solar for Reach is specifically the incentive for income qualified homeowners. So that's another, again, area where it shows is highly customizable. If you're specifically talking payback period, that can range. Folks are seeing payback anywhere from 10 to 20 years, depending on their specific situation. When you do reach out to Trade Ally contractors to get a free no commitment quote, they can show you what they estimate your annual production to be, and that's going to give you some more hard numbers when you look at, hey, what am I going to save on my energy bills? Because you're going to have real data for your home instead of that average number. It's going to be more helpful. Thank you.
I just want to add a little of that because it's probably the most important question for everybody here is this a good investment? And, a lot of people who do this as a living come up with a thing like it's about 10 to 12 years before it's a payback. Maybe 11. It's something like an 11, 12% return per year. And that's for the first 10, 11 years. And if you have a system that goes 25 years, after that, it's all gravy. And the key thing here is last year, nationally, the electricity rates went up 8.3%. And this year, in the first 6 months, because of all the data center stuff and what's going on, and actually the pullback in building solar and wind energy, which was 95% of the new generation, prices are up already 10% nationally. Now in Oregon, we just did this thing where if you build a data center, you have to make your own power, so that should help. But over a period of time, if you game that out, the estimations for all these things are at a 5 to 7% rise in electricity rates. And if you're already at 8.3 and you're moving to 20, your payback is really fast. So when you lose this 30% at the end of the year, it's still going to be better than it is now. So really, this makes you can save a lot of money. You can make $100,000 on your system over the life of the system with 5 to 7%. Imagine if it's, 8 to 20. It's a real money maker if you're going to stay in your house, and it also raises the value of your house by 4 to 5, 6%. So you get the money back when you're done. So that's my big wrap here.
Thanks for presenting. I understand the December 31st date and the repercussions of not finishing before then. What are the repercussions for not getting or signing up for this by the end of the month?
Thanks, great question. For this campaign, we brought together everything you need to go solar. And so we've got those contractors on board. They're aware of the campaign. They're making sure they are paying attention to the levels as they fill up, as everyone rushes to get solar. So by going through the campaign, you're connecting not only with a Trade Ally contractor, but one who knows that you're working through this campaign is going to try to help you get that system complete before the end of the year. hopefully that helps answer the question. Cool.
It isn't specifically mentioned right now, but what about solar leasing? I understand that the tax credit will go to the people doing the leasing and not us, but that would be a reduction. And I hear the tax credit will be a longer lasting. What are the information about that?
Yeah, so for tax credit for homeowners, that's the one that is ending this year. And so if you are trying to access that tax credit for homeowners, you would need to be purchasing the solar. So that's why leasing is different. There are different tax credits for commercial buildings and things, and some of those have some dates that are 2 years and then they're ending. But really for homeowners, the one that's going to impact that is if you are working to get that tax credit for yourself, it's not going to continue through the end of this year at this point. So, and if you're leasing, that would not have impacted you anyway. So, you had a question.
Yeah. So I live in Mountain Park, and so I had somebody come out and evaluate our roof, and they were like, "Nope, solar's not going to work for you for solar panels." But I own an electric vehicle, and I was thinking, what if I got some solar panels installed that would charge just my EV? Is that something that I could at least fill out your form and have somebody come to me whether or not it would apply to this tax credit or not? Is that something that I could at least ask somebody about through your website?
Yeah, so through the Solarize Lake Oswego website, you can still connect to a Trade Ally contractor. And in the form, you kind of let them know what you're looking for, so they have some of that info up front. Some folks do off-grid systems, so that would be something you can ask. For the tax credit, I'm not a tax professional, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what that would look like. That would be something you'd want to ask the tax professional if you're kind of going outside of the norm to claim that tax credit. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. So just closing, thank you all for your time tonight and sharing that with us here. We hope we've answered your questions. If you do have more, connecting through the Solarize Lake Oswego website to those Trade Ally contractors can help you with those really site-specific questions, and that's free to do. So you can see what it would look like for your home without any commitment. And yeah, there's no harm in getting that benchmark so you have something to compare to, or just even see those hard numbers that are going to be specific for you. So thank you all. And Matt is here too if you want to connect with him. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming. And don't forget, there is a whole table with all kinds of papers you can pick up with information to take home from various groups, a little bit of swag, a survey you can fill out to let us know if you loved or hated our program, and cookies in case you're hungry. Thank you so much.